Hello everybody, welcome to number 27. I'm Jack and this is a 2003 Mercedes CL500. This was pretty much Mercedes' top of the range baby at that point in time, and I bought it for just £500. I also have 54 paper receipts detailing everything that was done to this car to maintain it and to fix it over the 21 years that have passed. Today we're going to find out the cost of everything, how much it's cost to run the car, what went wrong, how much it was to fix it, but also the depreciation of the car. And I think you're going to be pretty astounded by how much money it truly costs to own a car like this for 21 years. So for simplicity, I've got it all here on a spreadsheet, and I'm going to divide it up really between standard maintenance. I'm not going to go into too much detail on that, and then actually things that broken and needed to be fixed. So first of all, the first entry here is from 2004. That was just a standard service. 2005, again, another service replacing brake pads, pretty standard stuff. That took it up to 36,000 miles, and this is where the first actual fault occurred. In 2006, the key cards stopped working. This car has some wireless key cards, which means you can keep it in your pocket and then just start it up on the button. I do actually still have those. Anyway, they had to be recoded, or one of them had to be recoded, and that was at a cost of £134, so not too bad. Then there's other standard things that were done between 2006 and 2009, spark plugs service, gearbox service, and brake pad and disc replacement. Those were, about £3,000 worth of stuff. A proper fault here at 57,000 miles in 2009, and that is something that's going to be reoccurring with this car, and that is the front passenger door switch cover and sun visor. So really odd, sun visor and door switch cover. I think it's this. Very odd. Anyway, that was £300. The driver door switch cover, again, £240. Then lower suspension arms, that's just wear and tear. That was £941. Again, to do with this door, replace the door handle and window closing. There's a repair then. That was £811, and that was still in 2009. And a few days later, there's a wiring repair there for £100, which I think is linked to that door. In 2011, it is just maintenance costs, so it's only about £600 for that, so fair enough. This is a weird one. In 2012, and at 69,000 miles, replace gear shift, console, and essentially that was £1,100. Very, very odd. Another service at 465. Then back to this driver's door, driver's window wiring, and replacing the mirror. I don't know if at some point maybe it had a smack on that mirror, but it doesn't sound like it. And then at 75,000 miles in 2014, discs and pads, fair enough, just for interest, costs of that £406. In 2014, at 80,000 miles, there's a big service with plugs, fuel filter and everything, but also a track rod end. The overall cost of that was £600, which seems pretty good value actually. Then a door mirror again, and gearbox pilot bush. So something was going on with the gearbox at that point, I think. £412. Then again, wiring in driver's door, and that was £184. A service, and at 92,000 miles, there's again this driver's door. They replaced the whole wiring room, and the cost of the loom was £700. Now, obviously, the previous repairs, I think, failed to sort out what was going on there. So in the end, they just bit the bullet, replaced the whole loom. 2017, control arms, ball joints, that was £1,400, and that's pretty standard, really. And then more general stuff, gearbox service, replace accessory drive belt, that was only about £800. Then they would replace a crank sensor, I guess that could be wear and tear, but anyway, £910. That was at 96,000 miles in 2018. Replace the wiper motor, that's an odd one, windscreen wiper motor, not one that goes that frequently on most cars I know about. That was £700. And that was in 2018. another door handle. I don't know what is going on with those in 2019, and that was £674. Then 2019, it says diagnose electrical faults and things that were replaced: ignition switch and gear shift console. So it's this again, 1,700. Then ABS and angle sensor, okay, half wear and tear, that was £2,000. Prop shaft support bearing, that's definitely wear and tear, £510. Gearbox conductor plate, I have no idea what a conductor plate is. That was £700, and it seems like they did a service as well. An exhaust bracket at this point in time as well, so that's at 101 miles in 2021, £180. Then accessory drive belt, pulley tensioner, that's definitely general maintenance, so that's £340. Now we have a really big one here. In 2021, we have the ABC struts and the AC compressor, subframe bushing, camber arm, rear brake pads, wheel bearing, one wheel bearing, and prop shaft coupling. £8,000, and I think the big cost in that is the ABC struts. Another service in 2022 for £400, just an oil service and a service. Then we have another biggie, well, sort of biggie, the left catalytic converter, engine oil cooler seals, rocker cover gasket, breather hoses, and the other catalytic converter as well, altogether £2,400. More standard servicing, £200 for air filter, stuff like that. Exhaust heat shield and fixings went, that was in 2023, and that was just £100. More exhaust heat shields at 112,000 miles. Gearbox mountings and engine mountings, plus an ABS sensor, £738. Then there was a rear control arm and other general work, lower control arm bush, oil filter, and so on. That was £1,800, and that was in 2024. Then when I bought it, it had a fault with the ABS pump. The ABS pump, which does the suspension, wasn't working. Normally, that would be a cost of about £1,600. I managed to get it, to find a much cheaper way of doing it, ended up paying £840, but that is still brings the grand total to £47,570. That's a surprising cost there. Let's just analyse those figures a little bit. Now, first of all, it is sometimes difficult to separate out maintenance costs from some of the fixes and fixing broken parts of the car, but I've done my best, and overall, that figure comes out to just over £18,000. So that is for things like servicing, general maintenance, and replacing consumables. So that would be brake pads, brake discs, ball joints on the suspension, just things that you would expect at some point they would wear out. What I haven't mentioned yet are the cosmetics that were done to this CL. So, for example, the wheels were refurbed a couple of years ago. Also, because it's quite an advanced design, it has, the body shell has various different panels, some plastic, but also aluminium. Where aluminium meets metal, you get paint reaction, and the paint bubbles. There's no rust there, but it looks a bit unsightly. At various points in its life, this has had that corrected. It's been resprayed, some of the panels, particularly on the sides, I think, on the doors. Altogether, the cost of that comes to £4,800. So not an insignificant sum, but I guess over 21 years, it's not exactly shocking. What is more shocking, which I don't know if I'm going to get over, is how much has been spent on the driver's door in 21 years. Over £3,800 was spent fixing this door for various issues, including, I think, 1 or 2 mirrors that were replaced. Maybe one was hit, one wasn't, I don't know. It doesn't specify, but I don't think they were hit. I don't think it was a smack. I think they just stopped working. So 2 mirrors, various door handles. Again, what is that about? Because of the costs involved, I assume that they were external, the external handle, not the indoor one, which wouldn't have cost so much, but also the panels to cover the door, and most of all, those electrical issues, which it seems that they wasted. I mean, there was about 6 attempts, I think, to fix this door before they finally replaced the wiring loom. In that time, the window wasn't working properly, there was problems with the switches, there was all sorts of stuff. And eventually they just bit the bullet and replaced it. I think this goes to show that unless you're working on your own and you don't have to pay a mechanic, sometimes it's better to just say, okay, you know, we tried to fix it once, just replace the whole loom and get it sorted properly, because a huge amount of money was wasted. About half of that cost, 3,800, was previous attempts at fixing this door, which is just ludicrous. In the same way, the catalytic converters were repaired in 2021. They were rusty, so they would have taken them out, welded them up and put them back in. They only lasted another 2 years and 5,000 miles before they both had to be replaced at a cost of £2,200. Now, if you think about it, it really doesn't make economic sense for 2 years to spend almost £800 and then spend £2,200 later to get a permanent fix. Now, I understand perhaps at that point, whoever had it just didn't have the money to spend. But really, again, it goes to show sometimes doing a proper fix is the right thing. Now, Mercs from this era, from the sort of early 2000s, are notorious for being a bit unreliable, especially to do with electrics and general quality. And I think that the main issues that have gone wrong here, so the door, things like with this center console where the whole thing was replaced as well, it does sort of go to show that that is a problem with Mercedes cars of this era. But now, let's go back and just work out how much it has cost overall, including depreciation, to own this car if you had bought it back in 2003. That this car, when new, was maybe about, I think it was about 78,000 was the list price for this. The question is, what's it worth now? Well, I think that maybe around £3,000. It is a car with exceptional history, as you can see. Everything works, it's in good condition. So I would estimate about 3,000. Maybe a little bit less, I don't know. But that would bring the cost, the overall cost of owning it from 47,570 for maintenance and for fixing stuff. The purchase price minus depreciation, that's 75,000. So that basically means that this car, if you bought it in 2003, kept it up until now, you would have lost an absolutely astonishing £122,570.04. Now that really does make you think, doesn't it? I mean, that is a huge amount of money to keep a car. I never buy cars new. That's the reason. I mean, had you bought it, say, 5 years down the line, you would have cut off a lot of that depreciation. But it kind of shows you, buy a car new, a luxury car new, keep it all that time, and this is how much you'll have to spend. Thank you so much for watching. Hugely appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you for the next video.